for the ghost and the listing I told you about, the Slavic couple that I met a half a year ago. I was driving by their house yesterday and I saw a sign for sale. I went online, nothing online. I'm like, huh, interesting. They're listing without listing it. Like, how are they doing it? So today they have listed. They have listed with another agent. I have no idea about anything. They went over the price that I would have suggested by far. And I'm like, I think they didn't want to offer anything to the seller agent or to the buyer's agent. Like, okay, how do we sell the house with less commission to any of you guys, basically? And last time I talked to them, I emailed after them and didn't hear back from them. I'm like, let's play fair. I mean, I agree, it depends on the offer that people give you. It's everything's negotiable, but you have to give commission. It's not
You
like a
don't have to give
volunteer
commission.
job.
Is it an MLS entry only listing? That's what it sounds like to me. MLS
No, I
entry
mean
only
it's
company.
in Realtor now, Redfin. It's
It's
everywhere
Redfin.
now.
Oh, so Redfin. So Redfin's 1%. So Redfin probably did 1% or 1.5% with no buyer agent commission committed, which is, that's why they chose Redfin, because Redfin offered the brand and the discount commission. That's why you lost it. It ultimately came down to commission. Now you know why they were ghosting you too, because they didn't like your answers.
Not cool. I mean, not cool,
Okay.
Not at all.
So let's talk about commission. So the
And I'm not
question
bringing
is,
them the buyer. I don't care. I'm like, okay.
listen, I know commissions are important, but everybody, you all have to start. I'm telling you, your business will get better when you do this. Okay. I don't care what your brokerage policy is. Your business will get better. We are not allowed to make a unilateral offer of compensation to a buyer's agent anymore. It's now a violation of NAR. It's just short of a federal law. Okay. This is a settlement with the Department of Justice and a settlement with all these lawsuits. Let me point out, this is almost 2 years. Okay. Average commissions have gone up. They have not gone down. So all that fear, we're going to make less money, it's silly. Okay. Sellers know that they have to pay. Just because they don't want to pay doesn't mean they won't. So the proper way to handle commission is just focus on the listing. They say, what's the commission? You should be saying 3%, 3.5%, 2.5%, whatever you charge. And then they say, well, what about the buyer agent commission? I would just say, we're not allowed to make a unilateral offer of compensation to a buyer's agent. Buyers will have the choice to either ask you to pay for their compensation as part of their offer, or they will just be paying their agent directly. So we don't know how the buyer compensation is going to actually work until they submit an offer. You do not have to agree to offer a buyer agent commission for the property. It is up to you. Buyer agent commissions are now being negotiated on a case-by-case basis. It's just another line item, just like a request for repairs or a loan contingency or appraisal contingency. It's just another term on the negotiation. When we evaluate offers, we're going to evaluate offers based on net offer price minus commission, offer price minus seller concessions, offer price minus commissions and seller's concessions, whatever it is. Treat it like a seller concession. We don't agree to pay seller concessions in advance, but a lot of sellers pay seller concessions because that's what the buyer asked for. And the way that seller decides whether or not they're going to pay a seller concession or not is determined based on how high the offer was. If you get a low offer and a big seller concession, it's a no. But if you get a high offer and a seller concession, then it's oftentimes very easy, right? So let's say that you have a $500,000 house and you get an offer for $480,000 and a 3% commission. Okay. And the seller says, I can live with the 480,000, but I'm not paying $14,000 in commission. Can you see that? All right. I can make it work, but I'm not paying them the commission. What should you do? This is very important strategically from a negotiation perspective. And if you only take one thing away from this call, I want you to take this. Do you negotiate the sale price or do you negotiate the commission? All right. You answer in your own head. I'm going to tell you the correct answer. You don't negotiate the commission. You negotiate the sale. You just counter back at whatever the commission is. You add the commission back to the sale price. So I sell the seller. I said, so what you're saying is if I can get them to pay you $495,000, you'd be willing to pay up to a $15,000 commission. Is that right? They said, yeah, because it's the same net. So I just counter at 495 and I agree to 3%. Then what happens? Let's say they come back, we'll do 485. We'll do whatever it is. Now I said, listen, I can't get you that price and 3% commission. So you tell me, Mr. Buyer's agent, Mrs. Buyer's agent, you tell me, do you want me to get you the price or do you want me to get you the commission? I'm not going to be able to get you both. So do you want to discount your commission a point? Okay. Or do you want to go get the extra $5,000 from your buyer? You know what the agent will say? Let me go get you the $5,000. We don't negotiate the commission. We negotiate the price. You just bake the price of the commission into the negotiation. And when sellers say, I don't want to pay a commission. Okay. So let's talk about what that might look like. Are you saying you don't want to pay a listing agent commission? Or are you saying you don't want to pay a buyer agent commission? For now, we'll say they don't want to pay a buyer agent commission. I said, okay, you want $500,000 for your house, right? Let me ask you this. If there were a scenario where somebody offered you $530,000 for your house, you want 500. All right, would you pay a $15,000 commission to them? Your net would actually be 515. It'd actually be a better deal than 500,000 and no commission. Would you take the higher price and pay the commission? They say, so you're willing to pay a commission just under the right terms. Done. So why don't we do this? We're going to leave it open-ended. You're not going to commit to pay for a commission in advance. And if we get an offer that meets all your objectives, we will negotiate the commission and or the sale price in order to get you to where you need to be. But you're going to decide on an offer by offer basis. If you get a good offer, you're going to be a lot more generous with the commission. If you get a bad offer, we're not going to be so generous. I'm going to handle that for you. Okay. And you're done. I promise you it's a lot easier. Now, I'll tell you what I see a lot of people doing. A lot of agents are saying that they're going to do 4 points. So let's say you get the offer. Worst thing happens, you get an offer, you can barely get accepted. Sellers, I'm going to do it, but I'm not paying a commission. Now you got 4 points. You can give 1.5 points to the buyer agent. You can give 2 points to the buyer agent. You can give 2.5 points to the buyer agent. Whatever you need to do if you want to do the deal, now you've got it built in. But most of the time, you're going to end up keeping 4 points. Maybe you get the seller to say, I'm only going to give him 1.5 points. All right. So you give them another 0.5 point, and you still made 3.5 points and got 2% if you need to do that to make the deal. Right? You see how that works? By asking for 4%, the compensation is 4%. Now that gives you the flexibility to make a deal no matter what. You're not negotiating buyer agent commission, and you still got a chance to get the buyer agent commission on top of the 4%. So let's say they ask for 3%. The seller with the right offer might agree to 3%, and you get your 4%. Now you're getting 7%. So don't pre-negotiate it. You're going to look at it on a case-by-case basis. And when you get a tough listing, there are some listings where you're not getting anything else. And you're like, listen, if I can just get out with 1.5%, just get me out of this deal so I can move on. Because the alternative is going to be 0 if you get hung up on the commission. So some of us got it wrong. We're saying, I'd rather make no money than 1.5%. Come on. No one says that. But we hold out for that. And then all of a sudden it expires or cancels and we ended up making nothing. And we do the same thing that sellers do sometimes, is that we wish we would have taken that $400,000 offer because all the offers now are $375,000. That first offer we didn't take, where are the offers now? Oh, can we go back and get that? That's what happens to agents too that get hung up on commission.
What do we write though in the disclosure? There's a paper that says like, the seller signs the whole package and you have to write something. What do we write?
Well,
like negotiable on the case?
The question on my forms is, will seller consider seller concession? I think it's phrased as seller concessions now. Okay, which are basically a way to say commissions. And so when the MLS, you say, will seller consider? Seller can, you just check it. Yes, the seller will consider all offers. Every seller will consider all offers. Even when a seller says, I'm not doing that, you should not put that in your listing. you should evaluate offers. It's just like a seller saying, I'm only selling as is. Should you write that in your listing description? We only are accepting as is offers, no request for repairs. That would repel some buyers. No, you look at it on the case. I said, yes, it's as is, but that doesn't mean a seller won't ask or a buyer won't ask. Yes, we're not offering a buyer agent commission, but that doesn't mean a buyer won't ask. We'll evaluate the ask just like other conditions. All you're trying to do is get offers. Just keep it simple. My experience is sellers will do what they need to do to get the house sold. Very rarely where they push back. Because think about it. What's the difference? I can get you 500,000 with a buyer agent commission, or I can get you 475 without it. What do you want to do? All right. So you agree it's all relative. It doesn't matter. Just treat it like a seller concession. Would you consider a seller concession a real seller concession to assist the buyer with closing costs? It's the same question. And you say, I will consider it. Well, some buyers will ask for it and some won't. Just like some buyers are going to ask for commission and some won't. And the ones that do, we evaluate it as part of the overall offer. All right. Another long answer for a short question. But at least you know why you got ghosted. And you, generally speaking, when you're getting ghosted, oftentimes it means that they're evaluating their options. They're going in another direction, or they're at least considering that. And in this case, your impasse was around commissions. I would have just asked, is it just the money? Or the only reason that you're not saying that we're not doing this today is because of the money? How do we get the money right for you? And then you just have a negotiation, but it's a much easier negotiation when you're only negotiating 1.5%, 2.5%, as opposed to that plus the buyer agent commission. So they were super clear what they wanted, and you kept trying to get them to do it the way you thought they needed to do it, as opposed to focus on winning the listing, next logical step, and then deal with the commission when the offers came in, which is the right process. Next time you won't do that.
I'll say 0-0. Yes. Let's go.
Yeah, well, not 0-0, but you can get yours. Guys, you probably are all losing deals this way because you're getting hung up on the buyer agent commission and the seller's not there. They want to explore without a buyer agent commission. So just negotiate the sell side commission and deal with the buyer agent commission when you get an offer with a buyer agent commission. Make sense?